In the last movie, we talked about data science without actually having big data. In this movie, we'll take the complement of that. We'll look at scenarios in which a person works with big data, but doesn't require the full data science skill set. As a way of reminding ourselves, big data usually involves unusual volume and velocity and variety in the data. Data science also has this little diagram. It involves statistical skills and domain knowledge and coding ability. And the three of them together gets data science. Now let's take a look at, can you do big data with just two of the data science skills? How about with just statistics and with coding? The answer, of course, is yes. Because that's where we have machine learning. Machine learning is a very important area of data science, and this is where a computer program learns to adapt to new information as it comes in. The two most familiar examples are spam filters, where the computer program learns that a particular kind of email is spam or not, based on your own individual responses, and based on the responses of millions of other people who use the same email program. Or facial recognition in photographs, where your computer program learns what face belongs to whom. Here is an article from Nature that talks about artificial intelligence and machine learning in general. If we scroll down a little bit, it talks specifically about the problem of facial recognition and how the computers can learn to identify face. It is something that is very easy for humans to do, but much harder for a computer. So machine learning is a good example of working with big data because it can have volume, velocity, and variety. But you don't necessarily need to have domain knowledge, because the computer is working without any knowledge whatsoever. Another possibility is what Drew Conway, who created this Venn diagram, originally called the data zone. That's the combination of coding and domain knowledge without statistics. Now he says, danger here, but there are some very good examples of data science here that do not involve statistical knowledge. The most common of which are word counts and just parsing of natural language. The most common tool used for this is what's called the Natural Language Toolkit. This is a package that's used in Python, the programming language. And it will ask people to do all sorts of amazing things. You can do things like word counts. The best known word count was the one that was used actually a few decades ago to identify authorship of the Federalist letters in American historical political science, all the way up to the things like comparing vocabulary sizes of various hip-hop singers. And so, there's amazing things that can be done with natural language by simply counting how often the words occur, without requiring any statistical knowledge, because there's no influential procedure that goes into it. Those are two of the combinations of data science skills that we have two at a time without big data. That leaves a third one here, and that's statistics and substantive or domain expertise. And this is traditional research. Unfortunately, without the coding skills, you're not going to be able to deal with the volume, the velocity, or the variety of data that characterizes big data. Tremendous things are accomplished in traditional research, but big data is not one of them. In summary, as far as you have at least two of the items in the Venn diagram, you can work with big data. You cannot work with big data if you have just statistical knowledge, or just coding skills, or just domain knowledge. Instead, what you would have to do in that situation is collaborate with people who have that information and skills. In fact, collaboration really is the rule in data science, because there is such a broad range of skills that are necessary. Nobody is usually able to bring all of to it, but they have to work together. That actually is one of the wonderful things, because I think that most of the interesting developments come about through collaboration. And that is something that data science encourages strongly. And so, when you look at the relationship between data science and big data, the situation isn't exactly even. It's possible to do data science with an incomplete version of big data, but it's much more difficult to do big data work without the triumvirate of data science skills.